She's so cute.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. We're glad that you are here. I would like to introduce two of my favorite people. So there's Rhonda Cox and Angie Thomas, and I'll let them introduce themselves. Today, we're going to be talking about self-care for you. We know that this time right now is crazy and um, people are stressed, and so we thought we would take some time today to look at ways to help through that and to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. So, Rhonda, I'm going to let you introduce yourself
Okay.
and get started.
Okay. Thank you, Suzanne. My name is Rhonda Cox, and I am the regional mental health consultant for Region 14. And I'm super excited to get to be here with you today. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how important your self care is. And then Angie's going to follow up with some specifics on that. And so we're just going to kind of go through some slides and hopefully encourage you today on some things. So the first slide you're going to see is just a little bit of a cartoon, but it sure hits home. We've had a lot of stress, and the doctor's telling her that the average human body is 20% water and 80% stress. And so I think a lot of us can really relate to that right now, not just due to our normal circumstances, but then the pervasive circumstances with our pandemic. So let me get us. The first and foremost thing I want you to know from my heart to yours is that it is okay to not be okay right now. Um, if if we were to look at some research, even just from a year ago, we are looking at least 1 in 5 Texans struggling with mental health issues. And then 75% of us have a family member or a really close friend that has some behavioral mental health concerns. Um, and then I want to pull you down and just notice this last one that talks about that from March of 19 to March of 2020. So when we first got into the pandemic, that our federal disaster distress helpline, that's right, what I put there is 891% increase in call volume. And so that was at the beginning of our pandemic. And now, with so much loss, whether it be loss of life or loss of job, those kind of things, I would be willing to bet that even for March of 2020, this 291% increase is even higher. So please know you're not alone, and it is okay to not be okay. Part of the reason why we're struggling the most is that this is an unprecedented scenario for us as humans, as Texans, as parents, as caregivers. We've been through trauma as a nation before, but this one is very unique in the fact that it's an invisible threat. The virus is invisible, but it's present everywhere we go. There's also no clear end point. So sometimes we'll often say that if we know that there's an end point to something, we can push our way through. But there is no end point, and the news about it and things are inconsistent. Sometimes these are the symptoms, sometimes they're not. So this is unprecedented for us because it is everywhere and no end point in sight, and inconsistent. So the good news on that is that we are resilient. We will adapt and be okay. But it's important for us to realize that this is not something we're going to sprint from one end to the other end of, or the beginning to the end of. This is most going to be comparative to a marathon. We're going to be pacing ourselves and leaning on each other to get through this. So very unprecedented territory we're in. Um, so knowing that, it's very important that as caregivers that we monitor our own reactions and take care of ourselves and our own needs to prevent stress, burnout, emotional injury even. Um, this is particularly true when we're doing something that so many things have been severely disrupted, but also that it's going to take us a long time to get back to a new normal. Maybe not ever back to what we knew before. So important for us to know us. So I want to talk to you just for a second about maybe some common reactions or maybe some things you're feeling for us as caregivers during a crisis, in a crisis. So for cognitive reactions, some of that is an inability to stop thinking about the crisis, inability to make decisions. We struggle over how to express ourselves, sometimes verbally. So our brain is, just, if you would think of it as maybe preoccupied with the crisis. There's physical reactions such as I just feel exhausted. Sometimes we have stomach issues or headaches or other aches and pains, and very often we have difficulty sleeping. So those are just some physical reactions in addition to cognitive. And in addition to that, there's the emotional reactions. So um, that would be worry, anxiety. If you feel yourself a little bit more irritable on a consistent basis, maybe angry, distressing thoughts or dreams, maybe even some thoughts, darker thoughts about maybe suicide or even just some real depression. And then we tend to look at our behavior. There's some reactions that sometimes when we're dealing with crisis, we will often um, be tempted to or lean into self medicating, such as with alcohol or other substances. We may even withdraw from contact from loved ones. And just find it kind of hard to get back into just normal activities of daily living. So, those are just some reactions. Just kind of be thinking about some of those as we walk through maybe where you might be in that as we walk through some of the other slides. What self-care isn't, because I'm going to be talking to you about self-care and how to take care of yourself and how to take care of your loved ones and your kiddos, those that you nurture. But I need you to hear me on this. When we talk about self-care, it is not being selfish. It is not being selfish. Sometimes we'll use the analogy of when you're in an airplane, the flight attendants are going to tell you to put your oxygen mask on first before you put your oxygen mask on your child. That's what I'm talking about here. It's that important. I'm not asking you to add more things to your to-do list. That's not what I'm asking you to do. It's not a quick fix or a New Year's resolution. It's not any of those things. So let me tell you kind of what I want your mindset to be, what it is. Um, One thing too, I want to say too that it's kind of a little disclaimer for me that self-care is very important. However, if you find yourself where you're dreaming about um, your, your kids or your friends' traumas and you're having trouble concentrating, you're having trouble sleeping, if you feel really detached or somewhat numb, please, please, please reach out for some professional help just for a short season. It doesn't have to be a long season, but when you find yourself in somewhat of a darker place, please don't hesitate to reach out. We've all done that. That's just good mental health for you to do that. Um, Self-care is important also, as we talked about, um, just taking care of yourself so you can take care of others. Another funny cartoon that I hope makes you laugh. The lady says it's half full. The man says the glass is half empty. The other guy's confused and just wants a cheeseburger. But the important thing to know is that you cannot fill or pour into your kiddos and those you love without a full cup. Same thing with the oxygen mask. You want them to be able to breathe, so you have to be able to breathe. Okay, so let's begin to talk about what self-care is. Um, so sometimes we immediately hear that the first thing I said that it wasn't was that it was selfish. It's not. Self-care is taking care of you, and it is a privilege that you get to take care of you, but it's also a responsibility. If you love your loved ones, you want to take care of you so you can continue to take care of them. And taking care of your health, both physically and mentally, um, is is something you have to do, not only to um, not only to take care of things that you're struggling with, but also to prevent things from being difficult in the future. Please, please, please take it seriously, and let's start thinking about some things that will nourish us. Um, this is going to take some time. It's going to take time. And so when we only have so much time and only so much money, and some of our resources are limited, we have to make time to take care of yourself, and to take care of your own needs as a caregiver. Um, and this is important not only for your own mental health, but also for your family. So we'll start to talk about a little bit of how you taking care of you overflows to your family, taking care of your family. Parenting is hard. It's hard under the absolute best of circumstances. If you do it right, it is hard. And so please show yourself some compassion as you take good care of yourself, so you can continue to take good care of your kiddos. So what some key strategies you might think of, is limit exposure to the news and social media. Um, the the news is just so inconsistent, and it can be overwhelming to us cognitively and emotionally, and so then our mental health will begin to suffer. Make some time for some exercise. Even if you've never exercised before, try. You don't have to get out and run a 5K. If you could do a small walk, a 15-minute walk does so much for our brain chemistry. You can sit on the floor with your kids while you're sitting there, stretch, lean into some stretches that maybe we haven't done since we were a teenager. Again, those release some of the cortisol in our body that builds up under stress. So do that. Make sure you're eating good. Don't use this time as a time to not eat well. You need to eat well to take good care of yourself, and sleep. Sleep well. Don't When you don't have a schedule, or maybe we're working from home or whatever, please schedule in. Take the time to sleep well and to get the sleep you need. Um, and then make time for activities you enjoy, whatever that might be. If that is being outside with some um, gardening, if you want to do that, or just taking care of one or two little plants, or if you like to do crafts or those kind of things, do some things, but make time, put time in. We have to tell our time and our money where to go. So tell that time that you have where to go to do some things you enjoy. And then please, please, please stay connected to other people, whether you have to do it through Zoom, FaceTime with your phone, whatever it is. When we withdraw and we kind of pull away from those that are close to us, then we just know that it just is so detrimental to our mental health. And so even if you just feel like you just don't want to reach out to someone, please do. That's usually when we need to do it the most. So, again, these are just some ideas to make time to take good care of you so that you can continue to take care of others. Um, and then know that when you pick some things you're going to do and you say, oh, I'm going to try this and I'm going to put it in my schedule, stick with that routine for a little bit. I'm going to try to go to bed at a certain time and stick with it. Try that for 10 days and see how your body feels. Try to eat well for a week and see how your body feels. Take some time to sketch or draw or color or build with blocks with your kiddos. Get involved in that. Take some time and see how you feel. If it doesn't work, if it's not working for you, it's okay. Change it. pick another routine, stick with it for a little bit, see what works for you. We cannot change other people or our many times our circumstances that we're walking in life, but we can change how we react to those things. And so take some time to try some things and then don't get stuck with them. If they're not working, pick something else. But if they are working, keep those things going for you that can help. The pandemic is affecting our children. Um, we we love them so much. Oftentimes, we even put their needs above our own, but it is affecting our children and us. And so, again, like I said a while ago, just a few minutes ago, um, being a parent, being a caregiver is difficult, even in the most perfect of circumstances. But we're learning enough during this pandemic that if we can support each other in being a caregiver, that we can actually use this time, this often terrifying time, to build in some good things with our kiddos and those that we love. So I want to talk to you just a second about some of the behavioral reactions that happen among children. You're going to see some of them overlap a little bit, but preschool children, you're really seeing an anxiety or a fear, maybe of being alone, maybe just not wanting to be separated from you from one room to the next. You're going to see that fear might come out in maybe some bad dreams or even some temper tantrums. Without those that vocabulary to really express their feelings and that fear and anxiety, you will often see it in their behavior. And then if we look at, elementary, maybe early junior high, again, you're going to see some irritability, maybe some aggression, maybe some sleep disturbance. Could be nightmares, could be not sleeping, like being able to fall asleep but not staying asleep through the night. You might also see some physical symptoms as far as appetite is either increased tremendously or decreased tremendously. Stomach aches, headaches. When they don't feel well, they may withdraw from peers and not really want to do chores and schoolwork and that kind of thing. So just know that those are pretty common. They don't need to be ignored, but they're common if you're seeing those in your children. And then for adolescents, we're seeing some of the physical symptoms of the stress of headaches, changes in appetite, sleep disturbance. Again, can be too much, too little, or not being able to stay asleep. Um, and then their emotions can go anywhere from being very agitated to apathy, just I don't really care about anything. And when they do that, sometimes they'll withdraw. Um, and being concerned about what COVID and the pandemic is going to look like for them. So they watch if they're a junior in high school, they watch their senior friends not get to have a prom, not get to have homecomings and special events, and they're wondering if that's going to happen to them. And so there's a lot of things that our kiddos are trying to process through, and just even wondering what's going to happen is anxious in itself. Um, with this on top of it. So just some common things you might see. Please, again, no, they don't need to be ignored, but please don't feel like you're alone, or your child is alone either. Um, as a parent, talking to your children, whatever age, from preschool to adolescence, um, you're just going to love on them as you normally would, and model for them. If you can match, the tone you want them to have in their heart, if you can match that in yours, just stay calm. If you want them to be calm, you stay calm when you're talking to them about COVID. If you want your kid to be excited about going to the zoo, your voice gets excited telling them about the zoo. Same thing here. Model for them a calm tone, and they will often match that. Um, be just reassuring and honest. they just want to know that you're focused on them being okay, and they can trust. My caregiver, my parent, my family member does care that I'm okay, and they're trying to communicate that with me. Please know too that as parents and caregivers, you don't have to have all the answers. None of us do. None of us. I think even the highest governmental authority on COVID, they don't have all the answers. We're certainly not required to have all the answers. And it's okay to say, I don't know. I don't know. But here's what I do know. And that's the last one there. Focus on what you do know that you're doing as a family to help you all stay safe. And part of that's washing your hands and taking a bath every day and being social distancing and not putting yourself in danger. That you reminding your family and your kiddos what you're already doing is reassuring to them. And so I would just encourage you to have those conversations with them. We're also learning to, I think, all of us do really well with a schedule. And so our bodies respond better when we have a regular sleep routine, when we get a good amount of rest, when our bodies go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time, we just feel better. And so try to do that with your kiddos. Even if your schedule's off, you're working from home or you're not being able to work right now, that just kind of keep your sleeping routine together. And also, even though they might not can go out every day to school, they still need to be doing their, great hygiene, taking care of themselves. Um, you know, um, Taking care of their bodies is important and it makes us feel better. And so we don't want to get lax on that during a time that we really do want to feel our best. Keep them participating in chores. There's so much research on that, but a family, we need everybody to make our family work. And so if you haven't ever done chores before, now might be a good time where you can teach them some things and get them involved in that. Then the children know they're important to the family. And so my family counts on me to feed the cat, feed the dog, take the trash out, help with the dishes. So they know they're a valued part of the family. Please, please limit your children's exposure to social media during this time. It's just unpredictable and it is often very discouraging. And for a child, that can be amplified for them. And so, if you could limit that for them, that would be awesome for your kiddos. And then practice some relaxation that you can do. Just the simplest of things. Angie's going to give you some much better ideas, but just simple, breathe in slowly, breathe out slowly, get that get that heart rate down, get that respiratory rate down. You can there's so much research on yoga and kiddos, and you can look that up, but just sit with them and stretch. It just really gets a lot of that energy out for them, and can be a real blessing for them and for you. Sitting on the floor stretching with them is really neat. We talked about scheduling time. This is important. Trust, the foundation of every relationship. Trust is built a little bit, a little bit, a little bit at a time. And so do your best to just be with them. Just look them in the eye, be present when you're talking about COVID or you're talking about a school assignment that's hard to do because you're having to do it through a virtual learning environment. Um, but with this trust, through positive relationships, we know that that's where our children learn to regulate their feelings, regulate their thoughts, regulate their responses. And so that helps them interact not just with you, but with the world in general. And they're learning some of those things right now with you in a very difficult time. So schedule time with your kids to do things with them and to be present that would build trust and strengthen that relationship between you and them, which will, I just believe, pay dividends and dividends and dividends and dividends for years and years to come. So that would be a huge blessing to them. These are just fun ways I stole to be connected as a family that you could do with school-age children. Again, you can do these with preschoolers all the way through high school. Go on a bike ride or go on a walk, and you can do that just to get the fresh air. Turn the video game off, play a board game or an Uno card game or something. If you're good at video games, I'm not, play those with your kids. Just something that can keep you connected. We tend to know that if we're connected and we have supports, we can conquer stuff. And that's what we want for our kiddos to feel during this time. Working on a puzzle, get a puzzle and laugh and put the wrong one in each time, but do some fun things together. Let them help you cook. Cook a meal together, eat together, watch a movie together, um, do a craft project together, or a science project, or just dance around the room together. So togetherness is where we're going to find our healing, our resilience, and so we need to to be together. And then lastly, I just want you to know that if your own anxiety or sadness worsens, or it feels almost unmanageable, please reach out. There are so many mental health resources available, whether it be through, a teacher or a school counselor, or maybe through Region 14. It might be, a local professional, whatever that may be. Please do not ignore your own needs, and reach out. It's not something that, if I could destroy the stigma or shame or anything in an instant, for us as we go through and struggle through to get to mental health, that's what I would do. But please reach out. I've got just a couple of numbers there, and they have resources that you can call, and you can say, I'm in Abilene, or I'm in Clyde, or wherever, and they're going to be able to hook you up with some resources that can bless you, and believe it or not, get you feeling better very quickly so that you can continue to love on your kiddos. So um, I just am thankful to Suzanne for letting me be a part of this, and just wanting, if I could, give you a big virtual hug to every parent who has, you know, loving on kids with special needs, without special needs during this time of COVID. I just would. So I hope that's good. Hope that's been beneficial to y'all. And I know you're going to love what Angie has for you. So thank you, Suzanne.
Well, thank you, Rhonda. That was very informative and great. And I think there's lots of wonderful strategies there. So thank you for being here and sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So Rhonda's going to stop sharing her screen. And then Angie, I'm going to let you take it from here.
All right. Hey, I'm Angie Thomas. I am the special education behavior consultant here at Region 14. So I get to work with these awesome ladies every day. So I am super blessed, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to get to talk to you specifically about self-care. So I was a single mom for a while, and I worked outside of the home, had several jobs. And so, if there's one thing I can relate to, it's not taking care of myself and what that can do to your relationship with your child. And and now that I'm married, and I've been married for a long time, also not taking care of yourself and what that can do to other relationships. So I want to encourage you, just like Rhonda did, about self care and what that can look like for you, and for me. So I'm going to start off by saying, first of all, you have superpowers. Believe it or not, you are superheroes. And so you might not be Spider-Man. Sometimes I know having kids running around, or you need to have x-ray vision, or you'd like to have your little webs where you could grab them and reel them back in, right? But you have senses and abilities that are far more developed than the average parent, especially now. I can say that all parents right now have crazy, amazing superpowers because you have been able to hold things together and hold down the fort. And you know, I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm I need to get the laundry done, just one more load, or you know, just something simple. I just need to do something simple. Um, so I just want to kind of read through part of this with you. Your senses tingle when something's wrong with your child, long before anybody else has any earthly idea that something's going on with your student, with your child. You know them best. You are their best advocate. You know their strengths, and you see um, through inaccurate diagnoses or treatments, or you have your superior strength that is deep, deep down inside of you. You can blast through all of that red tape. You have the voice for your child to help them get the things that they need, and you jump through hoops and cut through all the red tape to get what they need. You have lightning speed. You swoop in and you can keep your kiddo safe from the outside harms of the world. uh, and like a lot of superheroes, you can't always explain uh, to the mere mortals how you know what you know. You just know that you know that you know, right? So, as Peter Parker himself learned, with great power also comes great responsibility. And so, I want to piggyback off of what Rhonda said. Your responsibility, honestly, right now is to take a deep breath and take care of yourself, because no superhero is any good to the rest of the world if they themselves aren't charged. She talked about your cup being full. And so I want to talk with you for just a few minutes about three basic aspects of self care. So the first one is awareness. And what I want you to think about is slowing down and focusing inward. Just like Rhonda said, self care is not selfish. It's not putting anybody else in a lesser place than you. It's not shirking your responsibilities as a parent. As a matter of fact, you're better at being a parent and better at being a friend and a coworker and a spouse and a daughter or a son or a sister or husband, brother, whatever, um, when you take time and you're aware about your own feelings and your own thoughts. What's your own stress level? What thoughts are going through your head? Are your behaviors and actions consistent with what you want other people to see in you, who you really are? And I don't know about you, but I know even for myself in this time, I've said things and I've done things that I would not normally do or say. Uh, so being aware of that and being able to give yourself grace. You know, I've heard throughout this whole time, you know, offer grace. This is, if there's any time, now is the time to learn how to give grace. And I would say to you, it's also a time to learn how to receive grace. And sometimes that's kind of hard. Um, Talking to self, you know, when you point, you have three fingers pointing back at you. And so I'm pointing at myself as well. And the second aspect is balance. And I know, you know, this is super, super difficult. And this goes back to, again, touching on some of the things that Rhonda talked about, like with scheduling and things like that. And so, really being able to take a look at and assess the different areas of your life and ask yourself and be honest with yourself. Is there balance? Am I bringing work home? Am I not allowing that disconnect and allowing myself to recharge in the evenings so that I can be the best version of me the next day? Um, are you really allowing your body and your brain to get rest? You know, women actually need more rest than men. And I thought this was really interesting. I read a little study yesterday about this, and women need about an hour to 2 hours more rest in order for our bodies and our brains to recover and heal. That's what really happens when we're asleep. Our brain heals itself and like allows itself to put things where they're supposed to go in the right, um, I call them files in the file folders and all of the file cabinets in my brain. And I also know that women get the least amount of sleep. Ah, ah, go figure. And so I just want to encourage you to make that time. Awareness of imbalances gives you an opportunity to make some changes. And it is about giving yourself grace, and it's about saying, okay, I've identified these things. So what one thing can I rearrange in my schedule? Don't try to conquer it all at one time because you won't be successful. I'm just going to set you up for success. Okay. Pick one thing at a time, and that's what you want to reposition in your schedule, or you want to allow yourself to create that sacred time. And I really want to talk about sacred time. When you really set aside time for yourself, that is literally no interruption. That's literally no one else gets to come into that time or that space with you. And I know that sometimes that is incredibly difficult. However, the payoff for that is the dividends that Rhonda was talking about. I don't even think that we could calculate how priceless that is. I feel like I'm doing an American Express commercial right now. For everything else, um, so really setting aside sacred time for yourself to be able to um, do some self-checking, but also once you do that, making the time to do those things for yourself. Okay, connection. This is the biggest thing I think right now, one of the biggest things right now in what we're experiencing with the germ. We have been isolated. We've been um, in this moment where we're behind screens, and how do we stay connected with each other? And it's really about making it more personal, which you kind of have to like exaggerate almost. You have to work a little bit harder to create those connections, those personal connections. And so building those connections and those supportive relationships at work, at home, with your friends, community. This is hard, especially if you have to go into like a 10-day or a 14-day isolation period. In that 10-day period, how can you stay connected to the outside world that allows you to have authentic relationships and authentic connections with those people? And what I want you to see that's like the highlight of this is that social connections is one of the most impactful stress reducers. So when Rhonda was talking about cortisol leaving our bodies when we're doing physical activity and connection are two that really impact our stress and how we either internalize or externalize the stress that we're experiencing. And so I just want to encourage you. So one of the things that I thought was really fun before the pandemic ever happened, had my old normal was once a month, I would go to Houston for a week, and I would collaborate with other behavior consultants across the state. And one of my friends from another service center said she couldn't go to dinner with us one night because she was having date night with her husband. And I was like, do what? So they had virtual date night. Okay. It was the sweetest thing. She went and got her dinner. He had his dinner. They got on a Zoom meeting. They actually watched a movie together, and they ate their dinner and they talked about their day. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's the sweetest thing. Okay. So the next time, this was like the last night we were there. So the next time I was out of town, I was like, I'm going to do that with my husband. So I called him and I was like, okay, on Wednesday night, we're going to have date night. Y'all, it was the most hilarious thing. We tried to watch a movie. It did not work. It was horrible. His movie started before my movie started anyway. But here's what I will tell you, even though it really didn't work out for us very well, as far as that part went, we laughed and we talked and we just had this really great, fun 45 minutes that I would not have been able to have. Um, having a phone conversation, or even, so I just want to encourage you, even things that seem kind of weird or awkward, like we got to think outside of the box. So virtual date night, or I have some other things up my sleeve, so I'll share those with you here in just a little while. So here's what I want you to think about. Almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. So I don't know about you, but right now with all the technology that we've been doing, it's always, have you restarted your computer? Have you restarted your phone? Have you, whatever. And so when I saw this, I thought, oh, this is perfect. We all need to unplug, just like our devices need a break from time to time. We need a break too. So I found this book, and I actually just got it in the mail. So I went on Amazon. And so if you go on Amazon and you look this book up, you can actually click on some of these chapters, and you can read a little bit and kind of get the gist of what he's talking about in the chapters. But this takes us back specifically to Rhonda's statement about having your cup full. And what I want you to understand specifically about our kids, when you find yourself losing control with your students, remember, Rhonda also talked about oftentimes what we model, that's what our kids' behavior will match our behavior. Our tone, whatever tone or cadence, so how fast you're talking and how high your pitch is and how loud your volume is, if you watch yourself and you're really present in the moment, you'll see that your student or your child is actually modeling what you're doing, and or what I'm doing. Yeah. And so how do we change that? So we got to fill our own cups. So if you're a reader, and you could just read a couple of pages a night. Just give yourself a way again to escape and to be a better you. This is a great book. It talks about well-being and resilience, happiness, joy, living with purpose, getting moving and being mindful. And mindfulness doesn't have to be weird. It doesn't have to be, singing kumbaya by yourself with a candle lit in your room, or it doesn't have to be weird. It's just about really being present with yourself and checking in and giving yourself some attaboys, some attagirls, some loving on yourself so you can fill your own cup, or allow other people to fill your cup and be able to have something to give away, because I can't give away what I don't have. So I just, again, we're kind of talking about the same things. And I think that's important for you to understand that this is super, super important. We want you to love on yourself, and also have people in your circle that can love on you. So those colleagues at work, or your friends that are in your closest intimate circle, are they people who are pouring into you? Are they people who are blessing you and helping to fill your cup? So I just want to encourage you to do that. So if you're a reader, I thought this was a great resource for you. Something that's super simple is hydration. Guys, we don't drink enough water. And what I want you to understand about you specifically, but also your child, the moment your brain registers, I'm thirsty. So the moment you have that thought, you're already dehydrated, and your brain is already functioning 10% lower with thinking. That's what cognitive function means, that you're not thinking with this front part of your brain, which is where all of your problem solving happens. Okay. So what's happening is your brain is starting to function from its lower centers, and that's where we become emotional, or we even can potentially get into survival mode. And we talk about fight, flight, or freeze. And so when you see those behaviors happening in yourself, oftentimes maybe you just need to drink some water and really, really take care of that hydration. It's one of the most critical elements, because in our bodies, just from a chemical biological standpoint, every single cell of your body is encased in water. So if you don't have water, including your brain is the biggest muscle in your body, and it's encased in water. If you're not hydrated, your brain doesn't have enough water to make it function at its top potential. And so the rest of your organs as well, your heart and your liver and your kidneys, your bladder, all of those things are impacted. But you can see how if we're dehydrated, probably our students or our kids are dehydrated too. because they're modeling our behaviors again. And so making sure that we are staying hydrated. It also helps fight infection. And it's one of the top 10 reasons why people go to the emergency room every year. So hydrate, 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 hydrate. When you wake up in the morning, the first thing you should do is take a drink of water. It gets your brain going, and it also wakes your body up and says, "Whoa, good morning. I'm going to feed you what you need to be successful today." So the next strategy I have for you is called tapping. And I don't want you to think this is weird, but we have these meridian points on our bodies, these pressure points that can actually, when we apply pressure, can actually help us lower our stress and again lower our cortisol levels, and we can go into a positive frame inside of our minds and verbalize that and actually increase the dopamine, which is our joy juice. Okay. And so I'm going to show a little video that is going to walk us through what tapping looks like and what it sounds like and what it feels like. So as I show this video, if you'll do that along with the video, and I know it's probably going to feel weird because you're by yourself when you're watching this, or you're on this right now and you're like, oh my gosh, they're going to see me on the screen. We're not watching you, I promise, but we're all going to do it together so you can feel how this can actually, if you have anything going on in your brain right now, it's going to help you come down. So I'm going to start with Jessica and let her teach us real quick. Sorry, when I shared my screen, I did not click the right boxes so that you could hear. So let me fix that. I totally forgot about that. So let me do that, and we're going to start over again, and we're going to let Jessica try this one more time.
Welcome to the tappingsolution.com. This is Jessica Ortner, and welcome to our How to Tap area. Here we'll provide all the information to help you get started right away to use this incredible stress relief technique that will really benefit your mind and your body. Now in this video, I'm going to show you where the tapping points are so you can get a visual. The first point is the side of the hand, and it's the karate chop point. So tap on that fleshy part. The next point is the eyebrow point, and it doesn't matter which side of the body you tap on. Just pick a side and tap where the beginning of your eyebrow begins, right on that hair. I hope you're tapping along with me. You're gonna follow that bone until you're on the side of the eye, staying on that bone. Then underneath the eye, again, staying on that bone. Underneath the nose. The chin point, which is actually the crease between your lip and your chin. Your collarbone point. I like to just take my whole hand and tap where a man's bow tie would lie, and you'll stimulate the point. Then underneath the arm, about a hand width from your armpit. Then you end with the top of the head. Those are the 9 points in this tapping algorithm, and that is one round. So what you do is you begin by saying the setup statement. The setup statement is, even though I have this problem, so even though I have this anxiety, even though I have this headache, I love and accept myself, or simply, I accept myself. A lot of people feel resistant to this. They say, why would I ever say I accept something that I want to get rid of? Well, it's our inability to accept a feeling that usually keeps it stuck in place. By saying the setup statement, it sets us up for the rest of the process, helps neutralize any judgment we have around the problem. So you say the setup statement 3 times. Then you tap on the rest of the acupressure points while simply saying how you feel. It's not about the fancy language. It's about being honest with how you're feeling, bringing that up in your body and tapping on that acupressure, on these acupressure points. Again, sending that calming signal to the brain, letting your brain know that even with this thought, you are safe and it's okay to relax. So let me give you an example of what one tapping round may look like. If you are stressed around, say, a deadline, you would tap and say, even though I feel so stressed around this deadline, I love and accept myself. Even though I feel stressed around this deadline, I accept myself. Even though I feel stress around this deadline, I love and accept myself. Whatever variation of the setup statement you'd like to use is perfect. And then we're gonna tap on the rest of the points just while we vent. So it would go something like this. The stress around this deadline, side of the eye, I have too much to do. Under the eye, it's too much for one person. Under the nose, all this pressure that I feel. Chin, this pressure I feel to do it perfectly. Collarbone, this pressure around this deadline. Under the arm, all this pressure around this deadline. Top of the head, all of this pressure. It's as simple as trusting your intuition and really just giving a voice to the tape you're already playing in your head. You might already be having that panicked conversation. Now have that conversation with yourself while stimulating the points to really see a difference. You'll get to the point where you can say these things, you can think these thoughts without having the tension, the physical response. And that is where the real change happens. Well, I hope that is enough to help you get started. Continue reading here to get more information, and welcome to thetappingsolution.com.
So our bodies are super resilient and they're built to do crazy, amazing things. And so these meridian points or these pressure points really, again, stimulate this chemical reaction in our bodies to help de-escalate us and bring us back down, giving us some dopamine and allowing us to focus on something positive once we have called that negative stressor out. Okay. And this is something that we're, sharing in schools too. So this is a great to do with your student, to do with your kids, and teach them how to have positive declarations over themselves. Okay. And over the situation. So gratitude journaling is another thing. So in that sacred time that you allow for yourself, something that I would love for you to consider is gratitude journaling. And I'm not going to show this video right now, but I'm going to explain to you what he talks about. In your brain, if you hold your hand up in front of your face and you look at your hand, your brain registers in area 17 of your brain, it registers hand, okay? If I close my eyes and I picture my hand in front of my face, the same area of my brain lights up. And so what gratitude journaling does is it allows us to relive a positive experience as if it's still happening or as if it just happened. And so that same area of our brain, when we're re-visualizing that positive experience, our brain is stimulated in that area 17 of our brain, and what it does is over time your brain starts to, if you do this for like 21 days, and what you do is you just journal for 2 minutes. It's not something you don't have to set aside 20 or 30 minutes. It's just 2 minutes a day, and you're going to write about every detail you can remember about a positive experience that you had in the last 24 hours. Okay, not 2 weeks ago, last 24 hours, because you'll be able to remember a lot of details. Your brain will light up that area again and it will relive it again. So if you do this for like just 21 days in a row, what happens is your brain starts to encase all of your experiences through a positive lens. And so What that also does is it changes your physical presentation of yourself. And so the research showed when they did this with business executives that other people in their lives viewed them as more confident and more knowledgeable about whatever it was that they were doing than they probably really were. It had nothing to do with their actual knowledge. What it did have to do with was their presentation of themselves and how they connected with other people. And it was all based on this positive vibe really that they were giving off. So gratitude journaling is super, super easy. Number one, you can write on anything. You can write on a paper towel um, for 2 minutes a day. That's all it is. Also, sending positive messages to other people. So we use text messaging, we use emails all the time. So just picking someone and sending them a note. Hey, I just wanted you to know how much I appreciate you. You did this, this, and this, or I remember this, this, and this about you. It's going to help you relive that moment. It helps them relive that moment. And it starts to shift our perception and our lens that we look through the world as. Physical movement. So Rhonda talked with you about this. And she actually talked about dancing with your kids. So that's one of my most favorite things. I dance around my house all the time. My husband is not a dancer. And so sometimes I dance by myself or I dance with my dog. I'm totally good with that. My son's coming home for Thanksgiving, so I'll get to dance with my son. So I do show this clip from Grey's Anatomy. I don't know if there are any Grey's Anatomy fans in the house, but that's one of Meredith and Christina's ways of dealing with stress in their lives is they just dance it out. So I would encourage you to dance it out. So I am going to show just a little bit of this because I want you to, in this video, I want you to watch the faces and I want you to watch their how their attitudes change just by their physical presentation as they're dancing, okay?
Get up.
What is happening?
Come on, get up. What? Fair. Come on, we're dancing it out.
Oh, God, really?
Yes, really. It's this or cry. Come on, get up.
Girls, they shop around the world. Them Chelsea girls, they love the wedding pearls. Come on, no matter where they're from, them girls just wanna have some fun. Two shake, one piece, son. Then we just get nice. Temptation on the run. These girls just wanna have some fun. Two shake, one piece, son. Then we just get nice. She got that booty. Then I'm out of a song and I call it Trudy. Can't help it yet, I miss, excuse me. Not you, not you, not you, but Trudy, Trudy, Trudy. She think I like the way she booty. Got a mind of a song and I call it Trudy. Can't help it yet, I miss, excuse me. Not you, not you, not you, not you, but Trudy, Trudy, Trudy. You know that I love me some Trudy. Anytime you saw she don't have a booty, so have a booty. Bro, do your thing and please excuse me. While I get acquainted with this Trudy, Trudy, Trudy. Whoa, yeah.
So did you notice how it was, oh, don't make us do this. And then by the end, they're just releasing and they're laughing and they're just letting it go. And I think, I don't know about you, but recently I've had to do a lot of dancing at my house. Confession time, I've even danced a little bit in here with my headphones on and my curtains closed so nobody knew what I was doing. Um, Getting our brains to believe that our behavior matters is really, really, really important. And so we have to shake it up a little bit. We've got to do things differently. And that starts with taking care of ourselves. Whoops, I knew that was going to happen. So fill your own bucket. What does that look like? Go for a walk. Maybe you used to do art and you've put that off to the side. Get that back out. Maybe you're a sewer or a crocheter, or maybe you're not and you've always wanted to. And this is the time for you to take some classes online. YouTube is amazing. You can learn anything on YouTube. Read the books that you've been meaning to read. I don't know about you, but I have this huge stack of these are my I want to read books. And so just taking time to again set aside sacred time where that happens, and it's just for you. Light a candle, take a bath by yourself, put some bubbles in the bath, play some music. Again, it's about filling your own bucket so that you have something to give away. Okay. The chicken dance was going to start. Sorry. Um, this is something that I found, and after this is over, Rhonda and I are going to share some resources with Suzanne, and she's going to send one email instead of all three of us sending you an email. She's going to send an email out to you, and this is a declaration that I just want to share with you, encouraging words that every parent needs to hear right now. But what I would encourage you to do is put this on your phone, or if you have access to a printer, you can print a copy of it out and put it on your mirror, or even take some time and write it out for yourself and declare these things over yourself and over your kids and over your home. My house is a safe place. I'm resilient and I can get through anything. Honestly, these are things that you could do while you're tapping, and just change up that setup statement. It doesn't have to be about something you're stressed out about. It can be just giving yourself that hit of dopamine in the morning before you get your day started. I'm making happy memories with my child. Everything I do serves a purpose for my family. My kids trust me and look up to me. I'm a great role model for my child. I'm leaving a legacy of love. If at the end of the day everyone feels loved, man, I've done enough. It doesn't matter if the dishes are done and the laundry's done and the house is spotless and whatever. At the end of the day, if we can go to bed and everybody felt like they were loved today, that is the main thing. Keeping the main thing the main thing. And I know for me personally, I get sidetracked and I'm, worried about laundry not getting done, or, whatever. Quite honestly, at the end of the day, when I lay down and I put my head on the pillow, can I say that I have loved myself well and that I've loved others well? If I can say those two things, today has been a success. So I want you to pat yourselves on the back. You are doing an amazing job. uh, I want to speak for all three of us, Rhonda, Suzanne, and myself. We are all here to help you. You can call us anytime. You can email us anytime. You'll have our emails when Suzanne sends out her follow-up email. So feel free to call. No question is too little, or is goofy or weird or dumb or any of that. All questions are valid. If it wasn't valid, you wouldn't have the question, right? If you already knew the answer, you wouldn't have it. And so we just want to be encouragers of you. This is part of what we do and how we love on you. So we are here for you. That's all I have. And so I want to say thank you for allowing me to spend time with you. One of the things I will say, when Suzanne sends her email, I found a resource. I found several resources for parents, but I found one that has lots of activities. Some of them Rhonda and I have shared with you today, but it has lots of activities for you to do with your kids, no matter how old they are or how young they are. And so I would encourage you just to pick a couple of those things if you're having trouble coming up with new things. We've kind of been in this thing for a little while. And so if you need some fresh ideas, and then if you run out of those ideas, or those ideas aren't things that you feel like your kids are into, send us an email. We'll help you brainstorm. We love to come up with ideas on how to connect with each other and create good, healthy relationships. So that's all I have, and I'm so thankful to have this opportunity to talk to you guys today.
Okay, you guys, thank you so much for blessing us. Rhonda and Angie, y'all were really real treat today. I know that our parents are going to love all of this stuff. And as Angie said, I'll be sending out another email. And if you guys ever have any questions, please call us or email us. And if you have any questions on what we talked about today, or you think of them later, just email me and I'll get it to the right person. So if there isn't anything else, I will say goodbye and hope that everybody has a restful and blessed Thanksgiving next week. I think we all need that time to take care of ourselves. So I hope that you don't have lots of things that are going on next week. And so just a really quick thing, we will not have a parent meeting in December. We'll start back up in January. So again, we appreciate you guys and thank you for coming. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.